here on TikTok, keeping it real, here about recovery. I hope that y'all all had a blessed morning. I hope that you had a great Monday. And as today's the Tuesday at 7:10 in Arizona time, I am so happy to be with you to share my strength, my hopes, and recovery. And today, I just want to keep it real. And I just want you to sit back and I want you to go over your accomplishments in your recovery. I want you to pat yourself on the back. I want you to feel good about all that you've accomplished in your recovery. You know, there are people who I see here that share that they say that, man, don't let nobody fool you that recovery's hard and it's, oh man, you got this, it's really tough. It's not an easy walk in the park. And the truth about the matter is it isn't. Because anytime we want to improve ourselves, we have to look at ourselves. And when we look at ourselves, we see the damage that we've done to ourselves. And then we have to understand why we did the damage to ourselves and why was our frame of mind was that way at that particular time. In recovery, when we look at our past and our addiction, we must understand that we're looking back through our past where our mindset was at that particular time and how we felt that what we was doing was for the betterment of ourselves because we could not deal with the pain and the mental remorse that we had and the guilt of our situation. So we medicated ourselves so we wouldn't feel that pain. And we must understand that what we chose to help us caused us to depend on it. And once it became a dependent, then it took control of us and we had no more control of our usage of this stuff. It could have been drugs, it could have been alcohol, it could have been sex, it could have been gambling, it could have been anything that took us out of ourselves to cause us to hurt ourselves and destroy the life that we built. That's an addiction. And some people say, well, you never change. Once you're addicted, you're stuck. But that's untrue. It's very untrue that you will be stuck for the rest of your life because there's thousands of people that died clean and sober. So that's an untrue statement. But it takes work. It takes a lot of work to get where we at today. And it wasn't a walk in the park because we had to look at ourselves honestly. We had to look at ourselves in a way that was the truth. We didn't look at it and made ourselves bigger than what it was. We didn't look at ourselves and see how messed up we was from the floor up, from the floor all the way up, from the bottom of our feet all the way up to the top. and we was trying to convince ourselves that we was looking okay, that nobody knew that we was this bad off, that we kept justifying our bad behavior. And that was a course of living our life on life's terms. Once we realized how bad we was, we made a change. And that change caused us to work solely on ourselves. You know, they say that you shouldn't get into a relationship in the first year. If you is one, you should don't do no major changes. And all that's being said is that you need time enough to address yourself. You need time enough to address your issues. And you need time enough to learn more about yourself and your why you did the things that you do. What caused your addiction in the first place? And how this drug or this situation took control of us and caused us to look at nothing else but what we wanted and what we felt that we needed. Recovery teaches us to live on life's terms. And that means we have to look at the everyday life, everyday living. And as we look at life today, things are changing. If you're living below the poverty level and you're depending on SNAP and food stamps, the criteria has changed. It's changing. So to live life on life's terms, we must understand what the changes are and what we can do to protect ourselves so these changes won't hurt us. So that means we have to get busy. We have to pay attention to what's going on around us. Maybe you don't have to worry about that. Maybe you have to worry about your health care. Will you make enough money to pay for your health care? Which you may feel that you can't afford the health care because you have to pay rent and food and everything is going up. So something has to give. What can you do to protect your family and make sure that everything is okay? We have to pay attention to what's going on around us. Living life on life's terms. That's what recovery is all about. To understand what's going on around us and how it's going to affect us and what we can do to make sure that things stay good in our recovery and in our lives. I want to say hello to y'all just joining. And I appreciate you coming in and being a part of my recovery. And I hope I share some things that will help you along in your recovery. Now let's get back to it. Living life on life's terms mean you must know the information about what's going on around you. You must. You must find out what you can and cannot do and what you expect and what you will not expect to happen anymore. Our life and our is changing. It's changing in so many different ways. And there's so many of us that are in recovery that are living in the poverty level, meaning we're not even above board. We're just making it through, making sure our family has some food, a roof over their heads, and we're constantly working just to keep that. And sometimes you feel like you're overwhelmed by this, that, oh man, I'm just tired of this. And sometimes you just want to say, I just take one and, I need relief. And we must play that tape all the way through. We know what happens when we take one because it leads us to the next one, the next one. And then the little bit of money we do have for rent and utilities start to go the other way. And then we dig a deeper hole for ourselves, and it affects other people that will love us and care for us, that are depending on us to take care of them. So we have to understand that our addiction is one thing and living life on life's terms is another. We have to be grounded and rooted in our recovery to face the trials and the tribulations of living life on life's terms. My great grandfather said something that made a lot of sense to me, and I didn't really realize until I got old. He said, "You're going to have more bad times in life than you do good times." He said, "So you cherish the good times." He said, "But you can get through the bad times if you just do the next right thing." He said, "That's simple." And I learned in disciplining myself on things that in recovery that I just did the next right thing. I didn't think about why I had to do it. I didn't think about how hard it was going to be to do these things. I just did the next right thing. And as I did the next right thing, I kept doing it. It became easier for me to do. And it protected me from making a mistake. Recovery. After I completed, well, I did this 12-step program. And after I completed 12 steps, and the last one said, came to believe that a power greater, no. After, let me get my book out. Hold on. I want to get this right. I don't want to make no mistakes here. Okay. Okay, now, the most important thing is having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to others and to practice these principles in all our affairs. So, the 12 steps telling me if I want to keep it, I must give it away. I mean, excuse me. I must give it away to others. I must share my strength and hopes with others, which keeps it fresh in my mind and makes me remember what addiction did to me. It makes me remember the life that I lived in my addiction. It makes me think about how much work I did to get to this point in my life to have what I have today and appreciate what I have. I shared in one of my videos that the best thing that a person can do is write down your accomplishments in your early part of your recovery all the way up to now. And then when you're feeling depressed or you're feeling overwhelmed, sit back and read that. And you would realize that you became your own hero. You're the one that conquered these things to make sure that you stay clean and sober. You conquered these things to get to where you're at today. And nobody can take that from you because you did that for yourself. So you should have pride about what you've accomplished. Now, with that, just because a problem now that you have seems like it's overwhelming and you don't know how you're going to handle it, remember when you first came into recovery? You've never been down that road before. You never thought that you would have what you have today. So you went down a road that you knew nothing about, but you kept going forward. So it's the same thing now. Don't let a situation now overtax you, overtake you. You've accomplished so much in your recovery. So What what means that you can't accomplish this, you can't overcome this. Oh, you can. Sometimes it's a big mountain, you just got to chip at it so you can get through the mountain. But you have to have patience sometimes with getting rid of a problem because it may not get rid of that quick. It may take time. Accept that. Acceptance. Living life on life's terms. I do the best that I can. I make the best decision I can out of a bad situation, and I keep moving forward. And eventually, what happens is these problems that we have and these situations that we have, they kind of just work and we get where we need to be and the problems disappear because we're constantly working on the problem. But the interesting thing is, we know that we're imperfect people. And recovery teaches us that because the more we learn about ourselves and the mistakes we make, the more we understand that we don't have no control over nobody else but ourselves. But we better watch ourselves because this up here can cause us to go down a rabbit hole and kill ourselves. Because if we don't pay attention to ourselves, we can fall back down the rabbit hole because we're not looking at things the way we should. We're looking through colored glasses. So to keep ourselves focused, we must stay focused on ourselves and check ourselves to make sure that we're making the right decisions that we have to make in our lives. The reason I say that is because I lived in my addiction for 40 years, but I lived in my head. I lived in my head thinking that what I was doing, the way I was doing was okay. I created and lived in my own world. And when I got into recovery and I realized that, I said, I never forget, I said to my counselor, I said, I feel so stupid. Tears came to my eyes and I said, I'm so stupid because I've been a fool for 40 years. And I cried. Why? Because I outsmarted my own self. I created this world in my own head, and I believed that it was the truth. And when I realized that in my recovery, everything changed. My whole life got better quick because now I checked myself. I made sure that I was above board in my mind. I made sure that my recovery was my recovery. I worked hard. I understood that I could be my worst enemy. I could make bad decisions. So I must check myself all the time. And my life got better. I didn't need a whole bunch of people to check me because I was checking myself now. And then I started to be humble because I found out that I'm not that perfect person. Recovery taught me you got issues, Robert. So you need to keep the focus on you. And then the program taught me is if I'm out in everybody else's business, I'm not paying attention to myself. And if I don't pay attention to myself in recovery, I'm going to go back down the rabbit hole because I'm going to inch closer and closer and closer until I fall in. So I got to keep the focus on myself. Then I realized another thing. I can't save nobody. I know it feels good that you get recovery. I know that you're happy. I know you can't wait to go out here and you share and you feel that you could save somebody. You can't save nobody. You don't have that kind of power. I don't have that kind of power. But I can save myself. I can give you some wisdom, understanding. I can give you some options. But it's up to you to make that decision. Nobody gets clean and sober unless they choose to get clean and sober. Nobody stays clean and sober unless they choose to stay clean and sober. Each person has to make that decision. And I can't feel bad because every person has a right to make their own decisions with their life. The program says I cannot change people, places, or things. And I'm going to flip this a little bit. If you're a spiritual person and you do read the Bible teaches that each person has to make their decision to be a Christian or not. That God allows you to make your own decision of what you want to do. And it's up to you, nobody else. When you go to church, they don't force you to get baptized. That's a choice you make. That you make a choice that this is what you want to do, this is what you believe in, this is what you're going to do. It's your choice. So it's the same thing in recovery. It's your choice, nobody else's. But we can help each other by telling us each other of the pain we went through to get to the point where we are today. We can help each other by saying, listen, I did this and this happened. So I advise you not to try that because this could happen or this could happen and it'll hurt you. And you may go back out. That's all we can do for each other is give information and understanding about situations to protect ourselves from going back out. But it's each individual's choice. And that's the hardest thing human beings have to follow or believe. I'll give you an example. You can have a child. A child could be breaking the law, doing all kinds of the most. You can beat them, you could whip them, you could punish them, you could do all that, and they keep on doing the same thing. And you don't understand why, because they're making a choice to do that. And if they want to keep doing the same thing, there's nothing that you can do to stop them until they choose to stop. I remember one of my stepchildren was cutting the food. And I sat down and I told him, if you do this, this will happen. If you do this will happen. If you do this and this and this, I'm not helping you because I won't even do that. But if you do this and this, I'll help you. But if you do this, I can't help you because I won't even do that. I won't get myself in trouble to do what you do. So if I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to co-sign you doing it. I'm not going to take hard-earned money that I'm supplying for the family because you choose to do this. And I told you I can't help you if you do this. So I can't let everybody else suffer in the family because you choose to do what you want to do. I can't let them lose food. I can't put the home in jeopardy because you choose to do this. It's not right for everybody else. And that's how I do it. That's how I did it. Well, he left and he went on his own. But you know what? Last year, we crossed paths, contacted me, and he explained to me the dangers that he put himself into, that he learned a valuable lesson after he went through the pain of putting himself in jail. He grew up. He changed his behavior. He has a family now. He's taking care of them. But he had to learn the hard way because he chose not to listen to anybody else but what he wanted to do. It hurt me. I still loved him. My love never went nowhere, but I knew that I didn't have the power to save him. Only he can save himself. So, in recovery, we can care for people, we can give them our hopes and our dreams, we can share our pain, we can tell them what works for us, but it's up to them to make that choice. And you can't be upset because they choose to go the other way. And the reason why I say that is because I was working at the Catholic Diocese in Paterson, New Jersey. And I did the recovery program back then, and I went to this, and I was working as the house director. And in recovery, I made a friend there. So he wanted to go visit his wife. Rob gave him a pass for the weekend. The next day, his wife came to me. She said, Rob, I can't find him. He just walked up. I ain't seen him. Could you please go with me? And we tried to find him. So I went with her. And when we found him, I started to cry because this is not the same person that left the program a weekend pass. He looked at completely different. And right then and there, in my own mind, I said, I can't beat addiction. So I gave up and went and got high. I gave up. It took a long while for me to come back to recovery. But then I realized that the only person that can save Robert is Robert. The only person I can help is Robert. And then I started working my program. I started focusing on myself. Oh, yeah, I love my brothers and sisters in recovery. I can identify the pain that the brothers and sisters were sharing at meetings. I could identify with, I could feel it. Sometimes at some of them, tears came to my eyes because it was so devastating of what they've been through. And then I had to realize, how can I help these people with what they're going through? And then I realized I can help by being a recovery friend. To spend time, talk, converse, just regular stuff. And I began to draw bonds with people. But you know what the funny thing is, though? What they say, which is true. that you better get two suits. One for weddings and one for funerals. But you're going to use the one for funerals more than your ones for weddings. And it was true because a lot of people died that I knew in addiction. But what made me stand tall is I did not want to be like that man that went out and drank himself and looked at like he was deaf over, running over, where I went out and used because I said it wasn't going to work, that eventually this is going to happen to me. And I choose not to let that happen to me. So I kept my focus on myself and I worked hard. And then it got to the point where recovery wasn't hard anymore. I just wanted to stop this moment and I see a few people joined and I'm so glad that you joined. I hope you subscribe and be a part of my recovery family. Every day this morning between 7 and 8 o'clock, I give up my videos. But on Wednesdays and Saturdays, I'm here at TikTok, 8 o'clock sharp, every Wednesday and Saturday. And we talk about recovery. But I like to post every morning when I wake up. I have my coffee uh, and I do my research. And then I come here and I share my strength and hopes with you. And I'm so appreciated that you taking your time to be a part of my recovery. Thank you. I appreciate each and every one of you. Please be a part of our family and become members and subscribe. And I really would appreciate that. The more people subscribe, the more that I can do. The more you help me, the more I can help others by sharing. Now let's get back to it. Now, each and every one of y'all have your own issues, right? You have your own problems, your own recovery problems, you have your own relationship problems, you have your family problems, you have all this, you know. We all have our own. But one thing, remember how far you have come to get to this point. So don't let what's going on now overwhelm you because you went through addiction, you came out, you're in recovery, you done built a life for yourself. And you mean to tell me you're gonna let these problems go on? Divert you from your primary purpose? No. And they're gonna make you feel bad? No. Don't let it make you feel bad. And don't let it make me feel bad. I remember when my grandfather said, you have more bad times than good times. So cherish the good times. Okay, fine. I have this issue. We got to deal with it. Handle this issue. But the thing I say that I'm grateful for, I'm clean and sober. I'm in my right mind. I can handle this. I can work on this problem because I ain't all tore up from the floor up. I'm in recovery. I'm doing good. If I can handle addiction and come out of it, you think this problem, it's going to be walking apart. It's going to be walking because if I got to chip at this mountain, this big old problem, I'll chip at it until it's gone. I'm not giving up. I didn't give up in my early addiction. I mean, in my recovery, excuse me. I didn't give up in my recovery. My early recovery, I worked hard. I faced it, my fears. I cried the blues of what I did. I owned up to the mistakes. I went to people and said, listen, I messed up. I was in my addiction. I'm making amends to you. You did all that. And you're going to let this? Come on now. But here's the other thing. There are sometimes we go out, we're out in our addiction, and the person we love goes out with us. And then some of us come back, but maybe that loved one doesn't, and it hurts. This is where you must understand, just like I had to understand that that person made that choice. And there's nothing that I could do about it. But I can be an example. I could keep going forward. And when they see me, they may change their behavior. I'll tell you a story. I've shared this before. I used to go to the gas station, the Circle K. I would get my gas because it was right around the corner from where I lived. Uh, and there was this guy. He'd sit on the ground right near the front door, and he'd be asking for change. And if I got a couple of dollars, sometimes I get $5, $10, $20. And I always say to him, you don't have to live like that, but you choose to live like that. And I hope you don't want to do that anymore. I hope you change your behavior. And that's what I would say to him every time I would see him. And this went on for months. And all of a sudden I ain't seen him no more. So, you figure I got picked up by the police or got in trouble, got caught with drugs or something, or I might overdose. That's how we think when you see a person like that. So I was at the gas station. I never forget, it was the evening. I just came from Fry's, which was across the street, and drove me, got me some gas, and this guy walked up to me. He said, "You don't remember me?" I said, "No, who you?" He said, "Man, you used to give me money when I used to sit in front of the store." I said, "Get out of here." He said, "Yeah." He said, "You never judged me, but you always told me that I didn't have to live like that. And eventually I changed. And now I got a job, I got a place to stay, and I got a girlfriend." That made me feel so good inside. But it also taught me we could plant the seed, but a power greater than ourselves can make it grow. We can plant the seed, but a power greater than ourselves can make it grow. I didn't judge him because I'm a recovering addict and I done did some dirt. I probably did more dirt than all of y'all combined. I probably hurt more people than all y'all combined. So it keeps me humble to not look down on anybody that's doing bad because I remember me. I remember who I was. So I don't sit down and look at a person because they're destroying themselves. I have compassion for that person. Maybe there's something that I can say to that person to maybe change their behavior. Because see, I don't want nobody to suffer like I suffer. People say, well, overdose. People overdose and they die of addiction and stuff. I think the hell is living it for 40 years and not dying, but being stuck in it. That's hell. Where you see no relief in sight, you're just stuck there trying to survive, thinking you're doing the right thing. That's more painful than, but an overdose, that's quick. You're gone. It's over. But to live in that pain and that hell, think about it. Think about how long you lived in it. When you did the work, when you did the step work, you realize just how bad off you was. You realize how bad you was to others. Boy, I had my list, 50% of my list I couldn't make amends to because these people are no longer here. 50% of the people are no longer here. But but what I did was I shared it with someone that had time in the program. I prayed and gave it to God, which is my higher power. Then we burnt it in paper. We prayed, and I let it go. And when I did that, tears came to my eyes. I felt like a whole bunch of, like 10 pounds of weights just on me, just lifted up. And I wasn't heavy no more. I was more lighter. Uh, I had a little bit more peace with myself. I began to smile. I began to be happy because I finally let that pain go. I gave it to a power greater than myself, which restored me to sanity. That's what happened. Okay. Now, the last thing I want to talk to before I get over here is relationships. This is my take. It's not edges and stone. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a guru in relationship. None of that. I'm just going to share what works for me. I had to go through some changes to become a good person and a reliable person in a relationship. Just because I was clean and sober was not enough for me to be a good man in a relationship. Number one, when I choose to be with the woman that I'm with now, which is my wife, that meant there will be no cheating. There will be no looking at other women. That meant that I devote my time and energy to this woman for us to build a life together that we both want. And it wasn't easy because you're taking two grown people, putting them together that have been taking care of themselves. Now we were two, now we got to become one. Now that means that our decision making has to be one. And the funny thing is, in the beginning, when we would get upset with each other, notice that the addictive behavior came into play because now I was using the same formula that I was using in my addiction now. And I had to learn that was the wrong way to go. That the old behavior just took right back in because I'm going down a new path. So it took time for us to build a sound relationship. And as time went on, I learned that I cover her back 100%. She covers my back 100%, and we're both covered. It's not that I should be covering my back. No, she should be covering my back. And if she's covering my back, that means she's paying attention to who I am and me. And if I'm covering her back, that means I'm paying attention to her. And then by doing that, we're keeping the focus on each other. And another thing, we don't bring our business in the streets to other people because in living, when you share something bad about somebody that you're with to somebody else that cares about you, then they look at that person as the enemy to you. And then you become their enemy too because you're sharing your pain and hurt. But here's the thing, a lot of times you share that, but then you'll come to a mutual understanding and you move forward and you're good. But this person is still feeling the same way and thinking that you should change your behavior and don't be with that person. So now they're going to try to direct you away from that relationship. But you created the problem because you brought them in your relationship. There's another thing that happens in relationship. Well, that man, he always hanging out with the boys. I wish he'd be home and he just, well, and then the girlfriend saying, my man at home, this nigga, he always home. He don't even, I can't even give him the call to go to work. Your man paying bills and everything. You do go get your hair done, your nails done. He doing all that for you. And he ain't, I don't care about hanging on with the boys. He take care of home. He need to be with me because you don't know how to treat him. That's what happened. And it's vice versa. That can happen because we're putting outside people in our relationship and it's not going to work. I understand that you may be going through some stuff that you want to get a point of view, but that's when you'll both sit down and talk about it. And if you need a referee, you get somebody that has knowledge and understanding of that type of situation, which would be a psychiatrist or someone in the relationship field. So they can make sure that you share what you're feeling in a respectable manner so y'all could come to some type of conclusion and understanding to meet in the middle. My great grandfather was there for, I think it was 50 something years. I never seen my great grandfather raise his voice at one. Never. 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 But they was like this. Yeah. Grandma would go off. Grandma was tough. Grandma wasn't playing. My great grandfather, he was laid back. But they stand tall together. They respected each other. They respected each other's feelings. They respected everything about each other. And they protected each other because they knew each other was imperfect and they made mistakes. But it was okay. They worked through them. And that's the whole thing. You and your partner are not perfect. You're both going to make mistakes. That's why your wife covers your butt and you cover your wife's butt. And everybody's good. So that's how me and my wife do. We have a great life together. We have peace. Uh, We have trust. We have commitment. And we're building. We're building. See, when you work together, you can have so much more. But if we work separate, you have so much less. This is Robert Goodman, keeping it real on TikTok. I have Positive Stroke Staying Clean on YouTube. I also have another page with short videos. And it's all about recovery. Positive Stroke Staying Clean. I have all 12 steps if you choose to. I have everything that you could think about in recovery there. I have 4 pages on Facebook talking about recovery, people sharing their pictures, their thoughts, their feelings about recovery. And I learned so much there. And then I'm involved with so many different groups in recovery on Facebook. And all that helps me in my recovery. When I do my research to share every day, y'all build my recovery. I try to check with y'all, and some of y'all I'll put a nudge down to let you know that I I checking you out. I'm observing you and seeing what you have about recovery. My goal is for people in recovery to live their best life. I create this social media this platform so everybody can come and share. I have a private and I have 3 public on Facebook. So it's there. It's there for your taking. It's free. Subscribe. Be a part of the family. You're welcome to. This is Robert Goodman, keeping it real on TikTok. And remember, you are the most important person to yourself. And the only way you can stay clean and sober is you keep the focus on yourself. Because when you keep the focus on yourself, blessings come. Compassion comes. And the more you focus on yourself, the more compassion you have for others. Because you see how powerless you really are. And how what you can give to others is your experience, strength, and hopes in recovery. You have a great morning.